In the earliest years of the 1900s, Western Europeans were accustomed to peace. No major war had been fought on the continent for nearly half a century. Spurred by industrial growth, Western Europe's economies prospered. But economic rivalry, imperial competition, and aggressive nationalism and militarism were spreading across the continent. The great powers expanded their armies and navies and began an arms race. Many hoped the buildup of arms would act as a deterrent to war, but the increasing emphasis on the military only aggravated the mistrust that countries felt toward one another. Fear of war led countries to sign treaties pledging to support one another if they were attacked. Gradually, two powerful alliances emerged. The Triple Alliance of Germany, Italy, and Austria-Hungary, and the rival Triple Entente of France, Russia, and Britain. The alliance system further increased international tensions. These tensions finally erupted on June 28, 1914, when a Serbian nationalist assassinated Archduke Francis Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. The alliance system then set off a chain reaction, as one by one the major powers declared war on each other. Newspapers soon began calling the conflict the Great War because it engulfed most of Europe and involved massive numbers of troops. The French mobilized almost 8.5 million men, the British nearly 9 million, the Russians 12 million, and the Germans 11 million. The fighting lasted for 4 long years. When the war started, Europeans were full of enthusiasm and patriotism. Young men rushed to enlist as crowds cheered them on. But the enthusiasm was short-lived. This was a new kind of war, far deadlier than any fought before. On the Western Front, the warring armies dug a vast system of trenches stretching from Switzerland to the English Channel. Soldiers lived a harsh existence, eating, sleeping, and fighting in the trenches. Thousands died seizing and defending the smallest bits of territory. New technology made World War I more devastating than any previous conflict. Machine guns could fire hundreds of bullets a minute. Artillery, howitzers, and mortars could shell enemy positions from miles away. Factories produced deadly military hardware, such as fighter planes, armored tanks, and submarines. And poison gas was now part of the soldiers' arsenal. This new chemical weapon caused agonizing burns and blisters and blinded or choked its victims. Soldiers were eventually given gas masks, which helped to reduce the effects of being gassed, an ever-present hazard of the war. World War I finally ended in 1918. The human and material costs of the conflict were staggering. It is estimated that 10 million people died and 20 million were wounded. After the fighting was over, famine and disease added to the death toll. But World War I's enduring impact was even more far-reaching. The treaties that ended the war planted the seeds of conflicts yet to come. And the new weapons that emerged during the terrible struggle forever changed the face of war.